Well, good morning, folks. Today's Saturday, the 6th of December, 2025. Uh, and here is a map of the temperatures here and the cut on the U.S. You see pretty cold for a lot of the U.S. here. Single digits up here in the Northeast and to Maine. In the negative, it's hard to really see those numbers because they're so dark, but you can see where the coldest temps are up in Canada as well, along this cold frontal boundary here. Cold meaning likely the difference between Arctic air and continental air here, although both could be considered the same, even though the Arctic is above the ocean, the ocean, right? Not above the ocean. Definitely a difference in temperature here. Um, for a good portion of the U.S., are below freezing this morning, right? Um, you would think this cold front passage would signal no rain today in the southeast, but you'd be wrong with that assumption because it's still rainy and cloudy here. And you see where the warmest temps are really just in the Florida, southern Florida, really. Clipper type system moving through up here in the north, the upper Midwest. So let's focus on Georgia real quickly here. As far as high temps and precip chances today, highest precip chances in Georgia are central to southeast Georgia, southern Georgia today. Highs in the 40s and 50s generally, with likely not a difference in temperatures between north and south due to cloud cover persistent here. Um, Pretty much keeping temps up and keeping temps down at the same time, you know what I mean? So move into tonight, precip chances move further to the south, clears out. You see colder temps tonight, possibly near freezing up here into northern part of Georgia, north of Atlanta. Atlanta's always a little bit warmer, but not overly cold, but cold nonetheless. All right. So overall, you can see where the precip chances are the highest here for the local area, right? Saturday through Sunday night, mostly highest chances, although the accumulation is going to be light this afternoon and this evening. Highs in the 40s. Tomorrow, highs in the 60s. Lows in the 40s and high in the 50s, 60s generally through the week. It looks like a cold frontal passage Friday into Saturday, leading to below normal temps here to begin. Starting on Sunday here. So these temps have been fluctuating quite a bit out this far. And we'll go over model guidance next, but overall, probably close to near normal here until the cold frontal passage, and definitely below normal here. 20. It's going to be brutally cold Sunday and Monday next week. So I'm hoping that the precip chances hold off or they come before Saturday because of my granddaughter's birthday party. Supposed to be outside with a bounce house. So we'll see what happens, I guess. But been watching this pretty closely. So couple of brutally cold days a week from now here in central Georgia, at least according to this model. As far as the simulated radar, I'm going to slow this down a little bit. This is the NAM model, all right? This gives me short to medium range simulated radar, okay? And if we step this back a little bit, let's just start today about say 7 a.m., which is about an hour from now, Eastern. We have a lot of precip coming on shore here, although most of it's up to the north here, and you see a system getting going up here in the north, central, and northern high plains, and their mountain west, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, maybe some freezing precip here to the east, and persistent rainfall along the Gulf Coast here, right? Um, and a quick moving system moving through the northeast here in the northerly flow regime. You can see around noon is when the most precip is expected here for central Georgia, into Atlanta area. Finally pushing out towards the evening. You got a system dropping down, potential snowfall here into Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, near Minneapolis. And you see system maybe trying to come on shore here again, out west. I move through time with this a little more. Looks like these areas are in for some relatively heavy snow totals here. Right along with the dividing line is between rain and snow, likely the heaviest precip there. Not a very strong system, right? Because the low pressure um, is not really showing up that well. Okay, but when we analyze this a little closer, we can see the vorticity associated with this feature going through the flow here, and you have a bunch of different sources of energy here that aren't really phasing, right? So leads to weaker systems in general. Vorticity maximum moving through the flow here. Looks like it gets more organized as it moves in this area, right? And what does that lead to as far as precip goes? The NAM is projecting maybe a weak low pressure developing offshore here, even though it doesn't show it. It's likely that's what's happening here. So this is Monday around noontime. All right, so once we get closer to this event, potential event, this could be impacting, right? Where comes over the mountains there. Could impact your evening commute here. Let's just move out a little further out with the Euro. Euro isn't nearly as bullish with this. It's not as high resolution, of course. So if we compare it to the GFS, and GFS and NAM, I would say, are more related as far as models go than the Euro is. So, of course, because they're, I would say the NAM is probably based on some of the GFS model physics. So it makes sense that it would show this. Although, again, not as bullish with the snowfall here. So I wonder if the NAM is a little bit overdone here. Although it does show it, but it's mostly in the mountains, right, compared to the NAM. Now let's go out to the 6Z. Yeah, the 6Z of the GFS does show a little more here. So we could have potential snow event here, especially the Greenville, Goldsboro maybe area, Lynchburg. I mean, not a long duration event, but any snow along the coast here would be interesting to see if this happens. You see the cold air right along the back side of this, getting in there, moisture being thrown up to it, right? And of course, along the west coast of the U.S., We'll talk about this more. Gonna have a really good chance of excessive rainfall in the coming days as well. So um, once this system in the east moves out, go back to the euro here. We'll see what the euro says on its next run as far as this east coast goes. See, on the west coast, we have a lot of systems moving onshore with this high pressure building out west here. But the northwest flow aloft, onshore flow here. Northerly stream systems moving through here pretty quickly, right? We have another one dropping down through the flow. Phasing finally as it gets offshore maybe, but it's very progressive. And the euro maybe wants to develop something else next Saturday right offshore here compared to the GFS. Let's see what a different look here. So we get that far out, quite a bit in uncertainty, but one thing for certain, we're going to have inundation of cold temperatures. Excuse me. So if you look at temperatures in the short term, back to the NAM, this is 84 hours out. This is Tuesday, right? So let's run this through real quick. It's kind of fast. See where the coldest temperatures are, and really the coldest temps, of course, are up north, right? We get out to the end of this model run, which is December 9th. It's at 7 a.m. So overall, not that cold at this point, but other periods, just generally shots of cold air just continuing, and this is supported by the Climate Prediction Center. But you see out west here, well, not west, but in Texas, points west, we have warmer temps, and that's a result of high pressure building. Right. Let's look at the 500 millibar heights here. Not that pronounced just yet, but you see the onshore flow here, right? Although quite zonal at this point, even though there's a northerly flow component up here. Take the wind barbs off. We get a little bit further out with the GFS here. See this high pressure building in out west here, right? And if you go to 925 millibars, you can see where the highest pressures are, right? We zoom out a little bit with this. We move this to the globe projection. Stout high pressure near the surface as well. And you see the differences in heights here. Right. So the numbers in red indicate higher heights. You get down here, lower heights near the surface. So this tells me about the flow at the surface here. So we may have still some inundation of systems out to the west here, but quickly moving up and over, right? And if we look at the surface again, exactly what's happening here. You see it? You have a very interesting pattern here. Surface high, pretty strong here, 1050 millibars, right? All the way up into Canada, right? And then lower pressures. Let's take the thickness off, right? So that's the indication of your flow. And let's move it down to 500 millibars again, which is mid-level of the atmosphere. Let's look at the winds. You see the general 500 millibar flow here, right? At the mid-levels. And we move this through time. Deepening over the eastern U.S. Next week. And you see that cold frontal passage that could happen here, right? The high pressure down here in the south, down off the California coast. Now, this would be interesting if this happens, right? You see this buckling in the jet stream here. And where this sets up, we could potentially have a nor'easter here, right? So if we go back to the surface, go back a little bit. A little bit far offshore here, at least according to this run, right? This is pretty far out, so we'll keep an eye on it, but you see the general pattern here. 500 millibars. See the jet stream screaming here, right? Move through time. This is Saturday, December 13th, my granddaughter's birthday. And we go into a more, instead of directly from the north here, you go to a flow generally for northwest, a broad trough here, right? You have a more pronounced trough, and through that it flattens out, but then you have still flow coming more from off of the west coast here, all right? But still bringing colder temps into the northeast, right? So that flow regime is going to remain the same. Although when you get this far out, it's hard to predict. But let's just switch to the Euro real quickly. I'm getting into the weeds a little bit here, guys, but I like to do this on the weekends because it's I like to explain things in more detail. So bear with me here. The Euro on December 13th shows roughly the same thing as the GFS, although it is showing a buckle in the jet stream here, right? It doesn't really indicate a negative tilt. Although this far out, it's hard to determine. Compare that to the GFS. Go to 6Z. GFS wants to give a negative tilt further out to the west here a little bit. You see the jet stream winds here, pretty intense. So what does that mean for temps, right? So I want to look at the EPS, which is the European Ensemble, for general temperatures here, right? Mean temperatures indicated by the colder temps in the magenta colors, warmer temps in the orange, deep oranges, right? So I'm going to let this run through so y'all can look at it, right? You see where the coldest temps are, and intrusions of cold air. You see the cold air pooled up here. It's poised to move down to the south here, right? And you see what happens. And we showed that in the forecast for the southeast. On the west coast, you see it's relatively warm, right, at the surface. Cold for a good portion of the nation east of the Rockies, with the exception of down here, right? That cold air is still up there, guys. And that flow regime looks to continue for the long term, right? Although it seems to flatten out towards the end of the period. But, I mean, when we zoom in here a little bit to these temps, let's take a look what the source region temps are. I have to flatten this out to see these. I won't show them, but you get the idea where the coldest temps are in the negative digits here. Okay, so the cold air is going to be a lot thin up north, guys. I mean, it's that pattern is going to continue for the foreseeable future. Yeah. So that's all for the forecast and long-term forecast. I'm going to go over hazardous weather outlook and the excessive rainfall outlook, things like that, and then go over the mid-range hazards outlook as well as the little bit longer range updated climate prediction center outlook for temps and precip next. Yeah, so here's the current radar. I meant to show you this earlier. You see along the Gulf Coast here where the most rainfall is, and that's going to continue, and the models depict that pretty well. The quick heating system moving through the North Dakota, generally maybe some heavy snow going on up here, but cold temperatures, blowy snow, some freezing precip maybe in Nebraska, light snow maybe into Colorado, Mountain West, hard to really pick it up with the radar. Northeast getting some lake enhancement here and some lingering maybe light snow showers, rain showers here, maybe some freezing drizzle here in the east. Right, so yeah, so that's the radar. For our current hazards, we got a winter weather advisory here, interestingly enough, for the the Appalachians, likely due to some I'm surprised it's still up there, but must be some ongoing. Let's take a look. Well, I already did that. So anyway, dense fog advisory down here in Florida, Oklahoma, middle part of the country here. Winter storm warning here for the Midwest, surrounded by winter weather advisory. All kind of different warnings here for the winter weather, high winds, right? And out west here we got a flood watch, which we'll talk about next. But interesting what's going on here. Must be that frozen precip ongoing right there, or what's left over from it, right? So, and maybe wind gap events going on here down to the south. So as far as excessive rainfall in the coming days, really no threats until day 3, which is onshore here, the Oregon coast, Washington coast, right? Excuse me, slight risk, marginal risk here. Again for day 4, which is this is today, tomorrow, and then Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday as well. So persistent flooding here ongoing. It's yeah, they haven't had rain in a little bit out here, so and this is not unusual this time of year, but a typical La Nina MGO type pattern favors this kind of onshore ongoing onshore flow here in the northwest. So not that uncommon here. So with this flow regime we have, not a lot of severe weather, right? Northwest flow, not a lot of Gulf moisture available to do anything. So the severe components, or at least for thunderstorms, really far south here in Florida along that boundary, right? You saw where the temperatures were warmer there. You can see along the Gulf Coast and then far southern Florida here. So not a lot going on with that. As far as climate, temperatures, you see the northwest flow regime here, guys. Probabilities of temperatures being below normal very high up here in the northeast. So, and this isn't unexpected, right? You see the high pressure out west here. Same, pretty much rinse and repeat here for the short to midterm, right? And this is the latest 3 to 4 week outlook. we'll see how this goes. This was issued yesterday, but predicting a better than normal chance of higher temperatures in the south here and lower temps up north. So, and we'll look at the monthly. Same kind of pattern, really, for the month of December and the seasonal. Projecting maybe one more 10 spill the back of the east. We'll just have to see how this changes when they issue another outlook. Precip, dry after that frontal passage. Going to dry out quite a bit here in the east. A lot of moisture up to the north here with this onshore flow regime and northwest flow event, right? And then down to the south, dry in the browns. Maybe moisture returning with the trough digging in here week 3 to 4. But below normal precip possible here along the southeast coast and into parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and New Mexico. And above normal precip chances out west here as well. The monthly, interesting enough, monthly shows above normal chances here in December. So, and this was issued yesterday, if I remember right. So let me take a look here. No, issued November 30th. So that was 5-6 days ago. So we'll see how this plays out. But this was issued yesterday, December 5th. So yeah. You get further out here, that's the monthly, and that's the seasonal. So the seasonal is based on more about climatology and what the current pattern is going to be. So we'll just have to see. This was issued on November 20th. So I don't recall how often they issue these, but we'll just have to see what they have to say next. Well, as far as day 8 to 14 hazards, much below normal temperature and high winds expected here into southern Alaska and the areas there. Excuse me, flooding possible along the west coast here, and we talked about that. Precip, slight risk of heavy precip on the west coast here. Move this down a little bit. Other than that, nothing else in the U.S. Heavy snow possible the 13th through the 19th, 15th to 17th, slight risk out west here, and 13th through 15th along in favored lake effect areas. Slight risk of high winds out west here and into the northeast. This is the 15th through the 17th, 13th through 14th. And slight risk of below normal temperatures here into Alaska again, the 13th through the 19th, and moderate risk a little bit further south here, and slight risk along the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, of hazardous temperatures. All right, well, that's all I got for today, guys. I hope you all have a good Saturday, and God bless.